Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode by Gaming Son and Father as we are playing, well, not playing, we just completed Wuchang Fallen Feathers. And man, let me tell you, I really enjoyed this game. This game was a great game. Um, I had a good time with it. I had no problems at all. I know that it got a lot of negative reviews due to these toxic, and I mean toxic, um, PC gamers. They just need to stop making games for PC. If it's a console game, just buy a console because y'all always sitting there and giving all these negative reports on that thing called Steam and all kind of stuff because just because it doesn't work too great on the PC because you want to change some settings and it don't work right with your PC, just buy a console and play the game on the console like it's meant to be. They got plenty of PC games that are not on consoles, so just buy a console and stop complaining. Y'all make it. Y'all always want to say y'all don't just say that. Oh, I had problems with the issue with the game. On the PC. Y'all go and say the game's bad when it's not bad. The game was good. Okay, I'm sorry for the rant, guys, but these PC games get on my last nerve. All right, but anyway, back to the subject at hand. So this game here was great, and I'm going to go over some of my favorite bosses on this game because um, the game did have some really, really good bosses. Some bosses I didn't really care for, but that's going to be another video. But the bosses that we are going to discuss today are my favorite bosses, and there's eight of them, and we're going to go from number eight to number one, as far as my top favorite bosses of Wu Chang Fallen Feathers. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, number eight on my list is Dragon Emperor. Now I know you see the reborn on the screen of this fight right now, but that's just the first phase. Yes, this is a two-phase boss battle. And this is one of the bosses in the later game, and this one was pretty fun. I really enjoyed the first phase when he was jumping at you, and trying to claw and hit you. All those move sets he had, were pretty, telegraphed. It was something that you can see, you can get out of the way of, you can find some kind of pattern to deal with him, and it mostly just stay behind him. All right, and for the most part, he gave you also time to heal, because some of the bosses I don't like, they just did not give you time to heal at all, and he's pretty aggressive, but but at the same time, it was fun. It felt fair. Um, so I really enjoyed his first phase. The second phase was a little bit tougher, but it still was enjoyable. It still was, in my opinion, fair. You still had some time to heal, especially when he starts to do his giant Rasengan. And that give you plenty of time to, step away and gather yourself, maybe take some potions like I'm doing right now if you need to. Get your weapon tempered, healed, do anything you need to do, and then you stop going in and try to take them out. Now, for me, it was a little bit easier because of the force field I had on me, that I got from that bow lady. I can't remember her name right now. She was not one of my favorites, so her name is irrelevant. But at the end of the day, this fight felt a little bit fair as well. His second phase, he got a sword and he's swinging it around. But once again, these are large movements. Oh, he's stomping too. They are telegraphed, so um, you kind of really can easily get behind him and get some things done. And he does have some magic attacks, but like I said before, at the end of the day, he gives you time to think. He gives you time to plan. It's something that you can really figure out the patterns and adjust. And so, for that reason, I really did like this boss battle. Was it tough? Yes, it was tough, but at the same time, it was fair, and I had a good time. All right, let's go on to the next boss. Okay, so number seven on my list is the monstrous toddler. This boss here, I actually seeked out. I couldn't, I missed him initially, but I had went and looked to see how I could find this guy because I really wanted to fight him because of I wanted my revenge from the beginning of the game. All right. And so pretty much at the beginning of the game, I had enjoyed the fight, even though I lost. You're supposed to lose to him. But I thought I was doing pretty well and I just made a few mistakes. Now, I made mistakes as well when I fought him. But the second time around, this clip is showing you now. However, it still was just fun. When I lost him once and I felt like it was my fault, because I made some mistakes. But once again, you got a boss who is aggressive, but at the same time not hyperly aggressive. That you have time to heal and get yourself together if need be. Because some of these bosses, as I discussed in the video of boss I hate, don't give you that chance, and I can't stand stuff like that. But the moves once again are pretty telegraphed. You can kind of develop a pattern of how to fight him, which is, the type of stuff I like. I like stuff that are difficult, but at the same time, it gives you a chance to develop some kind of pattern or figure out a pattern to fight the guy. And this one definitely did. So the when he jumped at you, it was easy to once again dodge it at the last minute. And of course, some of the other attacks when he's clawing at you. Once again, those are telegraphed, and you can easily get out of the way of those. Now, is that saying that it's super easy? No. But at the same time, this was a more enjoyable, fun experience because it had difficulty. Well, I can't say it had too much difficulty. It might have been one of the easier bosses, but at the same time, it was fair. But if you drop your guard, you get caught up, it can get you. So at any rate, number 7 on my list for that reason is the monstrous toddler. Let's go on to the next one. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, number 6 on my list is Mistress of the Night. At first, initially, I was like trying to figure her out because I hate mages on most games because they sit there and they just spam their spells and always put themselves out of range, and you got to sit there and try to get in, and they be running and stuff like that. And which she ran at times, but then I figured out the pattern. Once again, it's a pattern. And then I figured out that all you have to do is let her do her spell and then get behind her and get that backstab. So and it was kind of fun. So I kind of really enjoyed her because once again, I started to figure out the pattern. It was a pattern, and at the same time, it was a tough battle, but it was very fair. And I liked how the second phase, it was very interesting how she had changed into was it a snake or was it a cat? It was something of that nature. You'll see that pretty soon, maybe. That was actually pretty fun. She had charged you 3 times. It was definitely something that you could avoid, but it was interesting nonetheless. And even her little kicking thing she did, it was it caught me quite a few times. Yeah, she was kicking me across the face with that thing. But I enjoyed that move. I thought that move was pretty cool. And there were times when I actually timed it right because sometimes the numbers would change as far as how many times she would kick it. Be 3 times, sometimes 4, sometimes 5, sometimes 2. So you had to be up on your toes. But at the end of the day, even with all the running and stuff like that, it was an enjoyable fight, and I really enjoyed myself fighting her. So for number 6, once again on my list, was the Mistress of the Night. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, number 5 on my list is the Blight Weaver. All right, it's one of my favorite bosses, the Blight Weaver. Now, the Blight Weaver, was once again one of those bosses that I thought was fair and is enjoyable. I love the jump. Once again, another boss that jump at you. You can dodge that, of course. You can prop some fire damage on it. And yes, at times, those claws were coming at you pretty fast, but it was something that you still could just dodge to the left and jump out the way and get behind it and like do some damage. Now, there's a couple of times when this boss will go underneath the ground, and I hate stuff like that, uh, but at the end of the day, the you can kind of see the ground turning red when you're about to come out there, so you can get out of the way. Can you mistime it? Yes, you can. But at the same time, this fight is one of those ones that is doable, and at the same time, there's elemental stuff around that they can run into, um, and prop electricity damage, and give you opportunities to get some hits in. So yes, while it might be kind of challenging, at the same time, the moves are well telegraphed, and the boss gives you time to get some heals in and prop your weapon up if you need be. Now it does some corruption damage and all that stuff there, but they got stuff for you to use to heal yourself. At the same time, to be honest with you, um, it is avoidable. Just back away when she stopped doing that whole puff of smoke stuff. So this one here, once again, another one of those bosses that was telegraphed, gave you a chance. They even had stuff around the room to give you opportunities if you use your surroundings properly to get chances to get some free hits in and get some damage in. So this is another one of those bosses that was very fair, and at the same time, it was quite fun fighting him, whatever it is. All right, let's go on to the next one. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we are halfway there. Number 4 on my list is the Feathered Priest. This is actually the second main boss of the game, and this one here was quite fun. It gave me some problems initially, but this one here wound up being a good fun battle for me. I really did, enjoy his move sets. Yes, he likes to get away from you a lot of times, but at the same time, he gives you plenty of opportunities to get those backstabs in. Because when he jump up in the air like that to do his attacks, even if he's throwing the red that thing right there at you, all of that is really telegraphing, telling you that he's going to do it because it will glow when right before he either comes down. It'll glow purple before he come down, or before you throw the spear, it will glow red, and it'll give you opportunity to get behind him and get a backstab in, and then get some good damage in. And he gives you time to heal. He's not one of the bosses that's on you every 2 seconds. And even his command grab, it's easy to get out of the way of. Some of these bosses got these command grabs that, I'm talking about one particularly that I hated her. To where the command grab is coming at you, you sitting there, you jumping out the way, and somehow it still gets you. But this one here, the command grab is definitely something that you can easily avoid and get out of the way of. This was another one of those tough, if you want to call it that, but fair fights that I really enjoyed in this game. So anyway, let's go on to the next one. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, number 3 on my list is the Gluttonous Monstrosity. This was a very, very fun battle. Now she's a little aggressive, and she definitely comes at you. She got a jump attack that you can easily get out, but she got those 2 swipes. But once again, this is a boss where if you can just simply just uh, dodge and go around her, and you can get some damage in. Now she does have this attack where she raises up and she quickly go across the screen just like that. Even if you are at close range, it's something that you can see coming and get out of the way. So once again, like that attack there, she just give you opportunity to get behind her and just get some damage in. So this battle was pretty fun. Now she does have a command grab as well, but once again, those grabs come with some noises, and then sometimes she will also, when she's spewing that red stuff out your mouth, that's another opportunity to get some damage in. So even the second phase when she gets up and do that roar, once you learn she's going to do that, you see the second phase coming, you can just easily just back away and just let her do her thing and then go in and get some free damage. So this boss battle here was challenging, but at the same time, it was very fair. And once again, you had time to heal. You had time to put some temper on your weapon, and it was pretty enjoyable. And you got a move set that you could figure out. You can learn a pattern, and you just keep on going. All right. So once again, this was one of my favorite boss battles. Number three on my list, the gluttonous monstrosity. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we are almost there. I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen. Talking too fast. But anyway, we are to the top. We're getting there. Number two for me is the main general. I really loved this boss battle. Now, this one here was a challenge for me. It was. I would say it was the the first challenge I had. However, it was, very, very, very fun fighting this boss. Once again, it has a pattern that, you can figure out, and he gives you time to heal and temper your weapon and everything. But it was quite challenging, but I enjoyed it. It really gave me a chance to get my deflect on. I'm sorry, he was the second challenge I had. Um, it really gave you a chance to get your deflect on out the gate. He come out with these three heavy attacks. You jump in the air. Now, and that clip there that you just saw, I sat there and I tried to uh, parry it. However, I had learned through fighting him, that instead of doing that, just dodge, get your feathering up. At the same time, you can get yourself a chance for a charged heavy attack to get some serious damage on him. He has two phases. And the second phase, once again, gave you opportunities to get some parries in when he jump at you, and swing his spear at you. Also, he gave you time when he sat there and did some little dance to conjure up some ice around him. Gave you a chance to throw a spell at him if you had enough feathers. At the same time, gave you a chance to heal. Gave you a chance to get your weapon together because you when you stepping back, you out the range. So he just sitting there dancing for no reason. And he was very parable. A lot of his attacks, the spear thrust, you could parry that. That one you could parry as well, but it's not going to turn him around. So he had plenty of attacks that can give you a chance to, parry and get some good damage in. So this one here was fun learning. And I enjoyed that fight. See, that little thing he doing, he twirling around, stuff like that. Now, I unlocked on him somehow at that moment. But at the end of the day, it was definitely something I could have got some damage in. And as you saw just now, that's when I said it was parable. As you saw just now, he backed away for a second. You got a chance to breathe. You got a chance to get some heals in. And I know you probably saying why he keeps saying that. Give you a chance to breathe. Give you a chance to get some heals in. Because some of these bosses a little bit later on do not give you a chance to heal at all. And that could be very frustrating. I hate stuff like that. So this is once again, one of those bosses that was challenging, but at the same time, fair. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we are there. We at my favorite boss of this entire game. Number one for me, the best boss fight on in this game is the commander. What's her name? Hong Long. Um, it's interesting because I was after I fought her. I can see that it definitely was. It was kind of like one of those, those checkpoints. When I say checkpoints, I mean those points of the game where they checking to see, hey, let you know, like, are you really ready for this game? Because the difficulty spike of this boss had jumped up tremendously. This one was very aggressive. I mean, relentless at times. But at the same time, she did have a couple of spots in there that allow you to get your heal on. So this boss was one of my favorites because I enjoy her move set, and she has something that you could just parry your way through as far as the first phase. Just keep your distance and just parry her and punish her, and it was fun. Even the second phase when she starts really throwing some of those I don't know what those things is, those sword slashes that will somehow have projectiles coming out of it. Those were, some enjoyable moments as well, because this boss was challenging, but once again, it was fair. And I just don't know what it is about this fight. I really enjoyed it. When I looked online, I saw that a lot of people were struggling with her and hated her. And yes, it gave me a challenge, but for me, it was only maybe a good 30 minutes for me to beat her. So I wasn't that frustrated. But once again, in my opinion, difficulty is, a matter of opinion because or your perspective, for me, it was hard, but it wasn't overly hard. It was not unbearable or painful. Um, that's for me. For some of y'all, it obviously was. But probably some of those same people who had such a hard time with this boss and could not beat it, took all day to beat her, probably played the first Berserker Kazan and did very well. While me, on the other hand, the average boss in that game was 3 hours to beat. This entire game here, even though there's some bosses I hated, there was not a single boss that really took me over an hour to beat. Now, the ones when my recording time I went over an hour, that was because, I was spending like 10, 15 minutes, 5, 10, 15 minutes between some of the fights, respecking or changing up my gear and stuff like that. So the recording accumulated to a little over an hour, just a little over an hour, but a good bit of that was me spending a lot of time respecting and changing up stuff in between the fight. So for the most part, for me, you know, the bosses on this game, while some was annoying, was not that challenging. But however, once again, even though this was a challenge spot for most people, it was a challenge for me, but it was fair. I loved it, and this by far was my favorite boss fight of this game. Take care. Have a good one.